Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be wrapping up the month of June. I actually read this past month, which is just so exciting because it has been quite a while. I feel like I'm finally out of my slump and I have 10 books to talk with you about. I did do some reading vlogs this month, which was fun, and I feel like I've talked a lot about these in either reviews or the reading vlogs. So I'm going to try to keep this pretty short and not go into too much detail for the ones I know I've already talked about. We'll see how that goes. First book that I read and finished up this month was The Atonement Child by Francine Rivers. This is a Christian fiction about a woman who is brutally raped and then falls pregnant due to that rape. So it does not focus as much on the rape, because I know that was a major thing and amongst a lot of commenters. It does not focus as much on the sexual assault aspect. It is largely focused on more of the pro-life movement, like abortion subject, and whether or not she's going to keep the child, that type of thing. So that is kind of what it focuses on. I really enjoyed this one, and I ended up giving it a 4.75 stars. Besides my one 5-star this year, it is been one of my closest to being a 5-star, but I still I don't know. For me, it's really got to give those 5-star feelings. And I don't know, it did at some points, but not the full way around. I have a whole dedicated spoiler review on this though, so if you'd like to hear more of my thoughts and you don't mind hearing all about the book, you can go check that out too. All right, the second book that I finished up in the month of June was actually a reread, and it is one that I am reading aloud to my girls, and that is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, The Chronicles of Narnia, Book 1, or Book 2. So it just depends on what reading order you're doing. We are not doing it in the terms of events reading order. We're reading it the way that it was written and published, basically. So this was so much fun. This is a reread for me, obviously, and it is a 5-star. Has always been a 5-star and is still to this day a 5-star. My daughters loved reading this with me, and it was a lot of fun, and we're currently reading Prince Caspian. If you haven't read Narnia, what are you doing with your life? The next book that I finished up in the month of June, I was so excited about because it's taken me about a year to get through this one, is the second book in the Wingfeather saga, North or Be Eaten. This is by Andrew Peterson. Yes. And I have been reading this for far too long. I do also have this in a vlog, so I'm not going to talk too much on it, but this one is definitely very slow paced. And I had been told that this is the slowest in the whole series. My friend who also read this, it also took her almost a whole year to get through it, so I don't feel quite as bad, but it did set up for a pretty interesting and intriguing third book, and I've been told that one is a lot better paced and more enjoyable, so I am excited to continue on with the series. Oh, and I gave this one a 3.5 stars. The next book that I read in the month of June was Love in Gelato. This is by Jenna Evans Welch. Perfect little summer romance read, right? This is also in that same reading vlog as North or Be Eaten, so go check that out if you want to hear more thoughts. But the only thing I would say about this is that this has some family drama mystery intrigue about why didn't my mom tell me all these things, along with the summer vibes of being in Italy and a summer romance and all that stuff. So had a little bit more layers than I was expecting, but I still enjoyed it. It is a YA, so probably would have enjoyed it a little bit more when I was a bit younger, but it still wasn't bad. I gave this one a 3.25 stars. And then the next book I finished up, another one in that vlog, is Anne of the Island by Ellen Montgomery. This is the third book in the Anne of Green Gables series. I was really excited about this one, but it was a little bit of a letdown. This is the first one that I have not rated 5 stars. It just didn't quite give me the same Anne feelings as the first two did. And I still got those feelings once we kind of got a little bit more into the book at certain points, and there were certain things I really, really enjoyed and loved about it. So, nonetheless, I still love it, and I'm still very excited for the 4th book, the next book in the series. But I did end up giving this one a 4.25 stars. The next book that I read in the month of June was The Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell. I can't remember if this one's in a reading vlog. Maybe. My mind is blank right now. But this is a middle grade, like, children's literature about a girl who lives on an island, and she is like of like this Indian tribe there. And basically, I believe the premise is that the Indian tribe ends up leaving the island for a reason, and she kind of gets left behind. So she ends up kind of all on her own on this island and trying to survive, and how that pans out. This is loosely based on a real person, and it does talk about that a little bit in like an author's note and stuff, so that was kind of interesting. This wasn't particularly my favorite or my cup of tea. It was not a bad book at all, but it just wasn't crazy interesting. It was a very quick read, fine, not like unpleasant in any way, but I did only give this one a 3 stars. But if somebody's like particularly interested in the themes of the book, I think, obviously they would enjoy it probably a lot more than I did. All right, the next book that I read was an arc, and that was Perfectly Grumpy by Grace Worthington. This is a 3rd book in her interconnected hockey romance series, I believe. And I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed the couple dynamic between these two in this one. This one was the PR person of the group, with like the quieter, book nerd loving hockey player. And I'm completely blanking on their names right now, so I apologize about that. But it was like really fun and really interesting. I normally say that like Grace's books have been pretty like enjoyable, fun rom-com palette cleansers. They're clean, close door. There's not like content or like things that you have to worry about in them at all. Little bit of sizzle, but not much. So I really enjoy her books. I think this was one of the ones I enjoyed a little bit more, because I did give this one a 3.75 stars. So it got very close to being a 4-star for me this time. All right, and then in my most recent reading vlog, I read The Penultimate Peril by Lemony Snicket, and this is book 12 in the series of Unfortunate Events. If you'd like to hear more of my thoughts, check out my newest reading vlog over on my channel. But I enjoyed this one. I only have one more left to go, so I am excited. I am most excited about this last one because I've heard it's the most different from the TV show adaptation, and I really love the TV show adaptation. But this is a really fun series, and I enjoy it. I've pretty much just given all the books about like a solid 3 stars because I highly enjoy them, but like nothing is particularly amazing and standoutish. It's a middle grade series, and I'm an adult, so I probably would have liked them and been like 4 to 5 stars when I was in middle grade if I had read them at that point, though. They're very enjoyable. But they do deal with, like depressing stuff. It is called A Series of Unfortunate Events. So just beware if you're wanting to get your kids into it, that it is a series of unfortunate events. All right, also in my most recent reading vlog, which these last 2 all are in that reading vlog, so check it out if you want to know more. I read The Secret Adversary by Agatha Christie. This is the first in the Tommy and Twopence series of hers. I believe there's only 4 or 5 in that series. It's not a ton, but this one is a bit more milder than Agatha Christie's books. I don't recall any language in this, actually. Agatha Christie is not heavy with language at all, but sometimes there are smaller cuss words, like the D word or something, or an A word every now and then. I don't recall any in this one in particular. And along with that, this is actually about a little like spy espionage thing, trying to find this mysterious woman and all of this stuff. And so it's really intriguing, but it also doesn't even have the normal plot process of a murder happening that Agatha Christie does. So if you've been particularly hesitant to pick her up or been like, well, I don't know if I'm too much into like murder mysteries or whatnot, this one's actually not a murder mystery. Just for those of you that might be curious and wanting something a little bit more spy espionage style. I really enjoyed this one. I enjoy the Tommy and Tuppence of what I've read so far. It's a good dynamic. It's fun. I read through it a lot faster than I normally read through her books too, so I was a lot more engaged, and it just, I don't know, I just read through it faster. I did end up landing and giving this one a 3.5 stars. And the last and final book that I read this month was Home Safe by Tracy Bach. So this was an ARC that I got from through NetGalley, and it came out the last month of June, which is the day that I finished it. Go me. But I enjoyed this one. It is a baseball romance. Again, more of my in-detailed thoughts are in that reading vlog, but I will say that go into this expecting the foster care storyline between our main character Dana and her son that she's fostering to adopt, Jason. That dynamic, that storyline and relationship is pretty much just as central and important to the story as the romance is. Like, they're both front and center and given a large part of the book, and they both like start wrapping together, but I did not realize that that part was going to be as big in the book. So I think knowing that going into it will help everyone's enjoyment, at least for me. When I like don't know about a large aspect and go in expecting something else, it can hamper some of my enjoyment. So hopefully that'll help. I still really enjoyed it a lot. I gave this a 4.25 stars. I love Tracy's writing. She's a clean, closed-door romance author. Really enjoy her stuff. She always writes such good, open and honest communication between her love interest also. So very highly enjoyed that. And those are the 10 books that I read in the month of June. I'm back and feeling good that I'm finally reading again. Hopefully July will be a pretty good reading month, and then baby comes in August, so we'll see how well I do there. After that, it might be downhill for a little bit, but it feels good to get back in and have, you know, a good couple of weeks and months, hopefully, before baby comes. And I know I won't be able to read quite as much. So I'm trying to get through TBRs and just enjoy my reading. And yeah, I really enjoyed this past month pretty well. The Atonement Child was probably my favorite book that I picked up, and I would love to know in the comments what your favorite book from the month of June was. And I hope you guys will join me again for another video. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.